The wind touched the range before the light did. It came low and steady across the ice flats, slipping under the concrete walls and catching on the edges of the target rails. You could hear it before you saw anything, that soft metal rattle of something barely loose, something waiting to shift. The steel didn't groan. It whispered. By 05:30, frost had formed on the lane posts, and by then, he was already there. Not inside. Not warming up. Just outside the service gate, kneeling in the powder where the gravel ended. Gray jacket. Black gloves. A knit cap pulled low over his ears. One knee in the slush, the other planted for leverage as he tightened a locking clamp beneath one of the south side range gates. He didn't carry base-issued gear. Didn't wear iPro. Didn't carry a radio. Just a belt pouch with 4 tools. One of them was military, old, standard issue, modified with tape around the handle. No one had given it to him, and no one had taken it back. They said he was contracted. Maybe engineering. Maybe facility maintenance. His name never came up during briefs. He didn't sign the gate logs, didn't clock in, but the lockbox always opened for him. Every morning, before the training teams came out, he checked the hinge points, clear snow from the rails, tapped the frozen bolts with the back of a rubber-handled wrench, just once, exactly where frost settled. He never stayed long, never interrupted. By the time instructors arrived, the gate would be closed, the lane flagged safe, and the snow already swept back with a push broom no one else ever touched. Some of the trainees joked. "Guy's like a ghost," one said. "Keeps showing up, never speaks," another added. But the instructors never laughed. They nodded once, maybe twice, if he passed, but no one called out to him. Not even the range commander. That morning, as the sky turned the color of old steel, he stood slowly, tightened the last bolt, reached for the lock. As he moved, the sleeve of his jacket lifted just slightly, enough for the recruit walking past to see a small, worn patch near his wrist, not fully visible, mostly faded, but with 2 letters still legible in the frost-reflected light. LT. And just beneath it, a call sign, almost covered, but not completely. The recruit stopped walking, didn't say anything, but his breath changed, and when he stepped back, he checked the patch again. He'd seen that name before. On a debrief screen no one was supposed to screenshot. From a mission that no one officially ran. From a team that never came home. Snow crunched under the recruit's boots, but he didn't notice it anymore. He just stood there, still halfway in motion, eyes fixed on the patch near the man's wrist. Not bold, not new, but real. The kind of insignia that wasn't worn now, not openly. A faded unit shape, stitched not for ceremony but for use. And a call sign. Partial, yes, but unmistakable. LT Raven. The recruit swallowed once. His voice didn't come right away. "Sir?" he began. The man in the gray jacket stood upright without looking over. Not fast, not sharp, just steady. Like someone used to moving before orders came. Someone who learned rhythm by consequence. He locked the gate behind him, spun the latch once, then turned slightly, enough to be heard over the wind. "Don't call me that," he said quietly. The recruit hesitated. "I saw that name during Winter Block Sim, back in Pre-Q. That was classified." The man interrupted. Still calm, still quiet. "You're not cleared for that file." The recruit didn't argue, but something in his stance gave it away. The tension in the hands, the way one boot slid back without purpose. "But you were on it," he said. "You were in that team." The man didn't answer. He reached down, picked up the old broom that leaned against the rail, and started walking the line between lanes. Then he paused, spoke without turning around. "Cold affects the bolt timing on the -3 Malawian Quatch's safeties. If you use them in this weather, clear the mechanism twice before you chamber." The recruit blinked. "That's not in the handbook," he said. "It is," the man replied, brushing snow from a lane marker with the end of the broom. "But not in writing." A whistle blew from across the range. Instructors were forming up for the run-through. The recruit turned once more to say something, but the man had already reached the edge of the perimeter. Not gone, just folded back into the routine. Almost invisible again, but not to him, not anymore. Evening hit fast in the mountains. The range emptied by 1800. Wind picked up just enough to make the flag cables whistle against the poles. Inside the barracks, the recruit, Madsen, sat alone in the corner of the common terminal bay. The others were grabbing chow. He stayed behind. Not because of curiosity, because something in his gut hadn't settled since morning. He searched the archive slowly. You weren't supposed to access classified debrief overlays without sign-off, but most recruits knew how to scrub through the redacted sim layers. The names weren't the issue, it was the patterns, the kind of patterns that showed up in rotation, if you knew what to look for. He found the file by cross-referencing two things: a winter block sim with incomplete after-action remarks, and a mission tag that had no timestamp, just an abbreviation. VT-null/Ravencut. There were only 6 names attached. 5 were labeled with dates. 1 was labeled with nothing. Just Lieutenant Raven, status, unrecovered/presumed. No rank, no date of disappearance, no notes on location. But one field caught Madsen's attention. Condition code, red/body not located. Final line. Do not reactivate. Assigned to memory only. Memory only. Madsen leaned back. The patch was real. The man was real. But official logs said otherwise. No survivor. No rotation. No medical discharge. Just a silence wrapped in protocol. He asked his instructor during lights out drill prep. Did you ever hear of someone called Raven? From winter units? The instructor looked up sharply. Not angry. Not confused. But something passed over his face that didn't match either. Where'd you hear that name? He asked quietly. No one. I saw a patch. Just wondered, Madsen said. The instructor nodded once, slowly. Then he looked at the rifle racks, like searching for something that wasn't there. There's names we don't say out loud anymore, he said, because they weren't supposed to come back. But sometimes they do? Not officially, he replied. But you might pass them on the range. What do I do if I do? The instructor didn't answer. He just said, check your chamber twice, and watch your corners. Then he walked away. Frost covered the gate bolts that morning like quiet armor. Thin, crystalline, the kind of frost that looked soft but didn't move under breath. It meant the temperature had dropped fast after midnight. Madsen was on early rotation. He walked the south perimeter alone, boots crunching softly. He kept his hands in his jacket until he reached the corner near the access box, the same spot the man had worked 2 days earlier. The wrench mark was still there. Small scar in the paint. Deliberate. Clean. He crouched down, not sure why. Maybe just to see if the bolt had held. Maybe something else. That's when he saw it. A coin. Half tucked beneath the edge of the panel. Not dropped. Placed. Blackened edges. Worn detail. One side was smoothed by age. The other still bore the imprint of an eagle diving across a trident. Not standard issue. It was older. Private run. No year stamp. But what caught his eye wasn't the seal. It was the lettering burned along the rim in etched silver. Raven/FWD null/VT9. His hand hovered before he picked it up. The metal was cold enough to bite. He turned it over once. Slowly. There was no slogan. No motto. Only a single line carved into the back in shaky engraving. Not all losses are gone. He looked around. No one else was near the perimeter. The wind had slowed. But there were fresh footprints near the side rail. Too light for the instructors. Too deep for overnight drift. He pocketed the coin carefully. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't log it. Just carried it with him the rest of the day. That afternoon, he passed the range shed, the same place where the man stored his tools. The door was open slightly. Inside, neatly hung, was the broom. And above it, almost invisible under a cracked coat of paint, was a tag etched into the wall. Faded. Not official. But Madsen leaned close and read it. Wind cut straight. So did he. He stepped back. The wind picked up again just then, a gust through the open range that lifted fine snow from the gravel and carried it west. And for a second, just a second, Madsen thought he saw a figure at the far edge. Not moving. Just standing. Watching. But when he blinked, it was gone. Night brief ran late. The kind of late where the lights overhead buzzed low, and the room smelled like spent wool and stale coffee. Madsen sat near the end of the second row, quiet, as always. The instructors walked the lanes slowly, calling out rotation assignments, then rules for night drills. No one was really listening by the end. Until it happened. Madsen shifted in his seat to adjust his pack. The coin, still in his pocket, slipped loose. It hit the floor once. Flat. No roll. Just a soft metal tap that still cut through the room. The instructor in front, Commander Ellis, paused mid-sentence. He didn't blink. His eyes were fixed on the coin like it had lit up. No one else moved. The room shifted from boredom to stillness in a breath. Ellis stepped forward once. Then once more. He crouched slowly, picked up the coin with a gloved hand, and turned it over. Once. Twice. Then he stood, holding it in his palm like it weighed more than it should. Who had this? He asked. His voice was steady, but something under it changed. Mine, sir, Madsen said quietly. Where did you get it? Ellis asked. Found it. South gate panel. Ellis didn't speak for a full 10 seconds. Then he closed his hand around the coin. Stepped back. You didn't find this, he said, quieter. Madsen looked up. Sir? Ellis walked to the front of the room. Didn't face the board. He kept his back to the trainees. Then he finally spoke. We carried this coin once, he said. Winter unit. 9 men. 1 liaison. The coin wasn't a token. It was a signal. He opened his hand again. You only passed it if someone made it back, from something they weren't supposed to. He looked at it one more time. I haven't seen this coin in 17 years. Silence stretched. We thought he went under, Ellis said. We didn't question the file. We just folded the map and moved on. Madsen didn't speak. Ellis finally turned back toward the class. His voice had lowered. You will not log this. You will not speak of it. Then he walked to Madsen and handed it back carefully. If he gave it to you, he gave it for a reason. The lights stayed on longer than usual that night. The chalkboard was never erased. And when Madsen left, Ellis stood alone at the edge of the hallway, not looking at him, but at the window, watching the snow fall. The storm didn't come, but the snow stayed heavier than usual. Dry powder this time, the kind that drifted slow and quiet between buildings, piling on ledges and boots without a sound. Range call was delayed an hour. Instructors didn't give a reason. Madsen walked the south edge out of habit now, even though it wasn't on his rotation. He didn't say why. He passed the side shed near the gate, stopped, then stepped back. The door was open, just slightly. He reached out, let it creak. Inside, the broom was still on the wall. Same angle, same cord wrapped at the handle. But now there was something new. On the fold-out table where spare gloves used to sit, 2 metal mugs, one on each side. Steam still rose from both. Not much, just enough to see in the light that bled through the frost-covered window. No one else was in sight. One chair faced the doorway. The other faced the corner. Madsen walked in, put his hand near the mug. Still warm. Not boiling. Not untouched. Just waiting. He didn't sit. Didn't drink. He just looked around. A faint smell of burnt cedar lingered near the wall, like someone had carried it in on their clothes. Then he saw it. Scratched faintly into the inside edge of the desk drawer. Letters. Done with a knife. Clean strokes. You don't erase legacy. You sweep around it. No initials. No rank. Just that. Later that day, Madsen mentioned the extra mug to one of the range instructors during gear check. The man didn't blink. You sure it wasn't old? He asked. Still had steam, Madsen said quietly. Maybe someone left it, the instructor said. 2 mugs, Madsen replied. Maybe they were meeting someone, the instructor offered. Madsen didn't respond, just closed the gear bin. That night, the log sheet at the south gate recorded a routine maintenance check. No name listed. No badge number. Only one entry, written in pencil. Range bolts cleared. Draft still reliable. Wind holding straight. The handwriting didn't match any current personnel. And under signature, just 2 letters, RH. The cold was worse that morning. Not violent, just persistent. It got into the seams of the gear, lived between the plates and latches, froze the hinge points on the range lockers if you didn't check them twice. Cold weather drills were brutal that week. Gear checks, loadouts, chamber clears. Every trainee handled their rifle like it might betray them if their breath shook, and one did. Trainee Keller, second week into winter rotation, chambered too fast, didn't clear properly. The bolt stuck, then snapped. Clean misfeed? He froze. Not out of fear, out of something worse. Embarrassment. He stepped back, looked down. Sir, faulted my cycle, he muttered. Madsen stood nearby, checking sling positions. He looked over. Didn't scold. Didn't nod. Just walked forward. Try again, he said quietly. Keller hesitated. Already misfed. I know, Madsen said. That's why you'll do it slower. He knelt beside the weapon, took the grip, pulled the bolt, tapped the edge, not the trigger guard, but the outer latch plate. One light knock, then cycled the chamber. Click. Smooth. Keller blinked. That's not in the cold drill, he said softly. No, Madsen replied. But cold builds pressure. Steel binds. You tap it to reset contact points. Keller looked at him. Who taught you that? Madsen paused. Guy who used to sweep snow out of the bolt lanes. Keller squinted. There's no snow in the bolt lanes, though. Madsen smiled, just barely. Exactly. The instructor overheard. Walked over, arms folded. Where'd you learn that tap reset? He asked. Madsen stood. Wasn't in the manual, he said. No, the instructor replied. But I've only seen it once. He looked toward the shed. Didn't speak again. That evening, the instructor posted a new drill note on the range board. No title. No credit. Just one line under, optional protocols. Cold reset tap, legacy technique. Test before discard. Most skipped it. One didn't. Keller tapped once on the latch plate before gear lock. The chamber cycled clean. No frostbite on the rails. No delay in the bolt. Just a clean click. And the faint sound of wind brushing across the empty lanes. The last morning of winter drills came without fanfare. No announcements. No final formation. Just a notice on the wall. Rotation ends 0600. Weather holding. Snow had eased, but the cold stayed. Sharper now, not punishing, just precise. Like a blade that had been honed overnight. Madsen walked to the range before anyone else. He didn't need to. No rotation. No assignment. But something pulled at his boots anyway. The gate looked the same. Frost along the hinges. A faint clatter of wind moving through the flags. He stepped around the perimeter to the shed. The door was ajar. Inside, the broom was gone. Nothing else had been touched. No tools missing. No damage. No note. Just the absence. He stood in the doorway a long time. No reason. No rush. Then he turned and looked down. The snow around the shed was soft, undisturbed. Except for one thing. A trail. Broom tracks. Clean. Straight. Pushed evenly through fresh powder. They curved once around the gate. Passed near the turbine intake line. Then kept going. Out beyond the range. No return path. No boot prints. Just one long trail. Like a signature written without ink. He followed the first 10 steps. Didn't step into them. Just beside them. Watched where they led. There was no destination. Just distance. Madsen stood still. Then knelt, not to brush snow aside, but to place something down. The coin. He set it gently, rim deep in the snow, right where the broom trail had turned. Then stood, stepped back, and left it there. Later that day, he returned to the terminal bay. Logged into the sim archives. Found the old tag. Raven cut. Still redacted. Still sealed. He hovered over it. Didn't open it. Just highlighted the title. And added a new tag beneath it. Legacy active. Confirmed presence. He didn't save his name. Didn't add his ID. Just closed the tab. And walked out. Back at the range. No one touched the coin. Instructors walked past it. Never picked it up. Never spoke of it. But someone had cleared the snow around it. A perfect circle. Like wind had respected it. Like the range itself had remembered. He never saw the old man again. But every winter after that, the south gate opened 10 minutes before the crew arrived. And there were no prints. Just a broom track. Cutting clean through the frost. Straight. And silent.